Welcome to the mother flipping trade recap. Let's go over the trade we took today, which was actually a loss, but it's an interesting trade because it's actually not a valid loss. I made a mistake on my end, going back. A very small mistake, but it was an error on my end. Okay? And we're going to actually break that down why it was a mistake. I don't make too many mistakes. Now, this trade specifically, the mistake that we made, I'm going to give you guys a couple seconds to understand or to potentially see the mistake on this trade. We entered this trade on the 30-second time frame right here off this black candle, this black momentum candle. Stop loss at the highs, take profit at the swing low as usual. And there was a mistake. So I'm going to give you guys a couple seconds to see if you can understand what the mistake is, and then we'll talk about it. All right. The mistake is prominent on the 30-second chart. Not here, not here. Don't worry about these over here. All right. But the mistake I'm talking about is that you guys already know what are the criteria for me to take a short bearish play. We want to see price holding below this moving average line, a SMA line sloping down, and we want to see bearish price action. Okay, we did have bearish price action in the pre-market, right? And then we tried a retracement. We dropped hard. We pulled back. We dropped. We got close, so we pulled back even harder. Then I told the Discord, I'm like, all right, I want us to fall below these lows to look for a short play after the pullback, after we fall below these lows. That's exactly what happened. We fell below these lows. We got our pullback and what I thought was our entry right up here off this momentum candle. But what was missing? We broke our third rule of price holding below the moving average line for a while. We only held above the moving average line for about 6 bars, or below the moving average line for about 6 bars. And then now you guys might think like, okay, what if we enter off this candle? At this point, I probably wouldn't like this because of how strong the pullback is. We're already coming all the way back up here. And this still is just like, it's 9 bars after the thing, starting from the candle that first held below it. So 9 bars, like just barely validating the move. Ideally, you want a bare minimum of 10 bars, bare minimum. And if we're just barely holding that and the setup is not perfectly clean, we're failing on small momentum candles down here, no reason to force it, right? We did take it lighter. We ended up losing on this trade. We did tell Discord too, this is a high risk trade. I knew something was off about this trade, but I wasn't paying attention to every single aspect of the strategy at the current moment because maybe my head was a little like on the clouds, you could say. I wasn't really focused on that because I was like, okay, we're breaking out. We're not going to get a setup, and immediately just dumpy. So I'm like, all right, let's lock in for a setup. We just broke these lows. Usually we don't get this kind of dumpy out of nowhere, and there's no news at this point, so I'm pretty sure something happened. Maybe on Twitter. I have no idea. Maybe Trump said something, and it caused it to dump. But whatever that may be, I don't really care. I care about taking advantage of the price action, not really caring about what news got released. So entered off this momentum candle and got stopped out. Now, that was the main mistake behind this trade. We could have avoided this loss. Good thing we did enter it lightly, though, good thing my experience is telling me just to enter it lightly and protect me from taking a big loss. So you entered it lightly. It was not holding for at least 10 bars, bare minimum. And then from there on out, we just started going back up. And then very weak. We hopped off the charts after we kind of started chopping up over here. Really weak. I wanted to see some strong trend continuation, but we had a lot of barcode price action today. Now, on the 1 minute, if we go back on the 1 minute, the 1 minute was holding, right? Because now what we incorporate is if the setup doesn't look perfect on the 30-second, we can take a look at the 1 minute. If you look at the 1 minute, after this push down didn't even close below any of these lows. We just wicked below it, which is another reason that I didn't want to go heavy risk on this trade, was because we wicked below the trade, or wicked below the lows. We didn't close below it with strength. So it could potentially just be us giving a fake out and getting a reversal. A strong close would give me a better sign that, okay, we're ready to make that. We made that move down. We got a strong close. We're not resisting off these lows, and we're ready to get a pullback and continue even lower. So that was also a negative for this specific play right here. And on the 1 minute, we had no entry, right? This candle happened on the close of the 30-second. So there's another 30 seconds left to close this momentum candle, or close this momentum candle on the 1 minute to see if confirm. So on the 1 minute, we had no entry either. So that should be something we should pay attention to. There's no close on the 1 minute. We got to be a little bit careful. And good thing we took a small trade on that. So let's see. Later in the day, we did get that dump. As soon as I got off, we got this dumpy. For those of you guys who are in the Discord, no, we saw that. You guys saw that dumpy. There are some valid opportunities on the 30-second right here. For example, this short right here. I like this pullback, real clean. Obviously, hindsight is 2020. It's easier to see it in hindsight, but 1-to-1 worked out on that one. We also got this momentum candle on the 1 minute as well. Or sorry, 30-second as well. I don't know if I like this too much on the 30-second. If we take a look on the 1 minute though. 1 minute has a pretty big bottom wick, so I'd have to like go back and backtest this to see it play out in real time to see if it's a valid setup. But this pullback, it's not the greatest, but I think because the momentum candle is huge, practically the size of all these momentum candles, one of the biggest momentum candles on this entire pullback, makes it a little more valid. So we'd probably take this with slightly lighter size, target the 1-to-1 or swing low in this case, since that gives us a better RR. And that one won as well. Now, if you take a look, there's a pullback. There's some more opportunities, maybe off this momentum candle right here. This one may be lost as well, but whatever. Now we're slowly like, we're not going to force it. We did a strong pullback, whatever. We can ignore that because we're not going to be trading anymore. This is way past, or actually not way past. It's actually in my trading window, but we're chopping up real slow on this. We'll go look at the 1 minute in that case, see if there's any valid moves on the 1 minute, and from there on out, continue forward. And if we start chopping like this, barcoding, and not being able to make new moves downwards, then we're not going to take any trade. So, because we want to maintain that downtrend structure on the chart. We want to make sure that we're staying downtrending. We kind of didn't downtrend here. We broke this previous high. So we got to be a little bit careful taking a play to the downside, right? If you want to, you could take it with really low size. But my recommendation is if we're showing signs of a switching trend, it's not the best thing to see whenever you want to find a play. So, yeah, that happened. We got FOMC today. Huge volatility at around 11 my time, 2 p.m. 2:30 p.m. when we had that Fed meeting start. Around here, I believe, yeah. Now we're seeing a crazy jump in volatility. And that's it for the day. So we took one small loss. I think some members also banked on some of these setups after hours as well. I think some members actually banked on this setup. Pretty clean setup, not going to lie. And that's about it for today. So that was the one mistake on this trade. I entered off when we weren't holding below the SMA for a while. So that was my mistake on the trade. We probably would have ended up with a no trade day today. But yeah, we took the trade. Low-key, little breaking the rules a little bit. Even though it is holding under it, that's why I always say it needs to hold under it for a while. Also, the fact that we had this news candle just drop like this, that's not really the best thing to see because it's just not priced naturally like moving down. And we just barely broke up below these lows. I don't want to see it break below its strength, like real strong below it to show that, okay, it's not just like you guys can call it a liquidity sweep. It's not just a liquidity sweep. It's an actual continuation. So that's about it for this trade. So hopefully, I kind of Jesus Christ, that gave a good explanation on why I took the trade and why I thought it was valid because everything else was holding up nicely. Only thing was I wanted this move down, which we got again off like a news type of move. We don't usually get random bursts of volatility like that. And we had an overall downtrend on pretty much the 1 minute. This one, 30-second and 5 minute was slightly uptrending, whatever, but it was like flatlining the SMA, right? We had that bearish price structure on both of these time frames as well as this one, 5 minute, and valid enough for me to look for short. Only thing negative was that we were holding below the SMA not long enough. So that's what restricted me, or actually that was a mistake that I made, not paying attention too much to that rule. So, that happens, right? I'm literally like living example that you could still make mistakes. It's still possible. Like, it's just because you turn profitable doesn't mean like out of nowhere things are just going to become perfect. You're still going to make mistakes. It's just a matter of how are you going to handle it. Are you going to go look back and see where you did wrong and improve? Or are you going to go just forget about it and not recap your trades? Because if I didn't recap this trade, I might not know why I lost. I might let this loss kind of get to my head, but I might not realize that it's not part of the strategy. It's my mistake. This is an execution error, which we've never had. I don't think you guys have seen me take an execution error. I don't think I've had one in a while. I can't remember the last time I did an execution error. But by execution error, I mean like a user error on my end, by the way. So hopefully this shows like I still make mistakes. I'm not a robot. I'm human. Sometimes I rush into trades, try to force setups and don't remember every single rule, and I jump in too early, which is exactly this case. I forgot that one small simple rule that I added, but it's a rule for a reason. It's a rule because it helps me take high quality trades only, have a higher win rate. So if we eliminate that rule or don't prioritize it, even though it's one of the last few rules, it's still not going to work out. It's still going to lower our probability for the trade. So important to, if you even have rules for any of your strategies, follow them to the T. No exceptions, okay? You want to be as rule-based as possible. Minimize any subjectivity, because especially when you're trying to build experience, it can get very difficult trying to hone in on your strategy, see if it actually works, if there's a lot of subjectivity. You can open up some subjectivity after you fully master the specific approach, after you fully kind of dive deep into the strategy and the rules of it and see like where your experience can play in and allow you to give that final decision. But if you're initially starting off with a lot of subjectivity, that could lead to a lot of emotional mistakes. You might confuse the subjectivity with your emotion or your discretion or your experience, and it'll be all over the place. It'll be a mess. So hone in on your rules, follow the strategy. This was my mistake today on the small loss. Good thing it was a small loss. So that's about it for you today. All right, if you guys got any questions about the trade we took or anything about the strategy, let me know in the comments of the video. But with that being said, we're going to wrap it up here, and I'll catch y'all on the Discord. Let's go.